a wrong turn back on the interstate. So open up your eyes way before it gets too late. Now run, man, there's no way you can. Hit the street lights running, don't give a damn. A simple explanation that you'll never find. Sinners never sacrifice. We never leave love alone. Is hate really worth the price? Look at what we've done. Never care for compromise. Always threatening someone's life, and it feels like the end of the Won't you tell me what's ahead in front of me? I made up my mind, I'll have to fight to find it. Don't take the wrong way down life's highway. There's no more time, I'm gonna get my share dead or alive. Tell you why. Sinners never sacrifice. We never leave love alone. Is hate really worth the price? Look at what we've done. We never care for compromise. Always threatening someone's life. We always preach for peace and love, but we just can't help ourselves. And it feels like the end of the Which way do we go? The only way we've ever known. And we all choose a side. We're stopping on this endless ride.
All right, welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestler broadcast. Monte and the Pharaoh, only seen here out of Indie Music TV, straight out of Ronkonkoma, where we've got some. We came out of Sunday where we had Mila Moore,
I don't like you. You entrapped me. You and your trick
and
questions.
Jack Victory.
Yeah, he's our boy.
Look, guy was cool as all hell.
Yeah, he was.
Right?
Yeah.
But the problem I'm having, and I'm just going to share it, is some guys I just never had emotional involvement with. I knew who they were, but
Are you supposed to know every single effing wrestler that went back?
Know it, but like we've got Ken on.
I mean, I knew Jack, but
we've got Ken. You knew Jack.
But because
we got
ECW
Ken on.
one, yeah.
Ken
Patera.
to me,
Well,
number
yeah,
one is
Ken
I love the
Patera
guy,
is Ken
and he's an
Patera.
icon.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I just don't want to be an asshole. You know what I mean?
Well, some things can't be helped.
They just can't be.
They can't be helped.
At the board is Abe. Abe filling in for Spidey.
Yes, he is. Honest Abe, what's going on?
Hey, how you doing, guys?
It's always good to see. He did a fantastic job on Sunday.
Yeah, he did.
And he hung in there?
Yeah.
Did a great
he's
job.
He's very active back there. There's lots of exciting camera angles.
He
and
does
stuff.
have a lot of good
He
stuff
does not
going on.
mess around. He keeps it moving. Go ahead.
All right, dude. So get some serious stuff.
Oh.
Tina Turner, the queen of rock and roll. Tina Turner dies at 83. Tina Turner, the American-born singer who left a hard scrabble farming community and an abusive relationship to become one of the top recording artists of all time, died Wednesday at age 83. She died peacefully after a long illness at her home near Zurich, Switzerland, her representative said. Turner began a career in the 1950s during the early years of rock and roll and evolved into MTV phenomenon. Tina Turner, my friend.
Yeah. Tina Turner.
Wait, can I just...
Two men enter, One man leaves.
That's what you remember.
Thunderdome.
That's what you remember from
Tina Turner.
Wow.
Mad Max
Well,
3 Beyond
I
Thunderdome.
did not get to ask you the question I wanted to ask you, but now you just answered it without me asking.
What's love got to do with it?
Here was
It's a second-hand emotion.
Jimmy, when I think about you, right?
Yeah, try not to.
And I know what a great artist you are and what a great musician you are.
Gee, thanks.
But I always
being
think
set
you'd
up.
be no.
Okay.
This is not
Oh,
set up.
wow.
This is
Okay.
my thought
Oh,
process.
then go ahead. Sure.
I think about how sometimes I feel like you're pigeonholed. Like, hold on, I got to explain this.
No, I'm from a hard-scrabbled farming colony. What the fuck is a hard-scrabble farming
Because it's
community?
Like,
What is hard-scrabble? What does that mean?
It's hard working.
Hard-scrabble?
Scrabbled is a word for working.
Wow. Well, no wonder I'm not
So
used to
because
it.
you're not a scrabbler.
I'm not working. Go ahead.
But my point is, like, I know you know all forms of music.
Yeah,
But I've never
sure.
known you to enjoy them. Like,
What do you mean?
we've gone to the beach
make
together,
this
and you've
good.
listened to the music I listen
I
to.
like
Sometimes
that
I
music
listen to
you listen.
80s.
But we liked that. We had a good
and
time.
all that stuff.
It wasn't
Or
like that
70s.
airplane that played that
My
horrible
point is,
music.
were you a listener of Tina Turner?
No.
I was a huge Tina Turner fan.
Okay.
Why
Congratulations.
were you not a listener of Tina
I
Turner?
am very interesting. When it comes to pop music,
Or is it a woman thing?
hell's no. Stevie
Okay.
Nicks is like
All right.
Stevie Nicks,
Okay.
Grace Slick from Jefferson Airplane,
Got it.
Janis Joplin.
Got
Are
it.
you kidding me?
All
They
right.
are right there with Robert Plant from Led Zeppelin. What are you talking about? Well, maybe not Robert Plant.
Back
'cause
to
he's-
back to
Woo!
Tina Turner.
Yeah. No, I'm not a huge fan of some pop music. And MTV had a real bad habit of taking a song and playing it to the point that you'd throw yourself through a window.
Like Run to the Hills?
They never played that. You had to watch that at Midnight Metal Madness, that Saturday Night Midnight Special, okay? Don't rewrite history. I had to fucking listen
remember
to
it on
if I
the
wanted
radio
heavy
back-
metal, I had to listen to Fingers Metal Shop at fucking
I'm
midnight.
not so sure about that,
okay?
but go ahead.
They weren't being played as much as What's Love Got to Do
Well,
with
Love's
It.
Got to Do It's a better song.
Yeah, well, who sold more albums in the end? Ha, effing ha.
Tina Turner.
Not the Iron Maiden. You better go back and check your numbers.
That song. Sorry. Anyway,
Still
let's
better
not
go
argue
back
on
and
this.
check your numbers,
I
pal.
don't want to put down.
Check your numbers. 40 years
So
legends.
You just felt they
Up the irons!
You felt they
Okay.
overplayed it like
Yeah.
B.A.B. did to
Phil
Zeppelin.
Collins?
To Zeppelin?
Zeppelin got this. Oh, so overplayed. If I
At least you
hear,
agree on that.
Of course, if I hear
right.
every time. Oh, here comes Skinhead.
right.
Every time. These bands are legendary. You got to keep playing the same 3 songs. Phil Collins in the 80s on WBAB was a nightmare. Studio, which makes
Love
me
that
want to
song.
commit suicide.
You're out of your
I was-
mind.
What? Just say the word. That song is annoying as shit. They used to play it every 10 seconds.
Anarchy.
Oh my God, play Crazy Train or something. Why do I have to hear Studio again? I'm not into pop music, dude.
Well, rest in peace, Tina Turner. One thing I'll always remember about Tina Turner is my mother who passed away.
Okay,
Loved
well, you should
Tina
have just
Turner,
said that
and she
right at
used
the
to
beginning.
say to me, well, that wasn't the reason I loved Tina
Okay,
Turner, but
all right.
she used to say to me, Michael, do my legs look like Tina
Oh
Turner's?
man, hey, do mine?
No.
Damn it, I gotta hit the gym.
Tina Turner was an icon in music.
Yeah, she was. I never would deny
I
that.
mean, all right. So I'll share with you
Great
two
voice.
things before we get to our guest after commercial break.
Yeah.
But there's 2 women, and you named Stevie Nicks.
Stevie
okay?
Nicks, man.
But there's 2 women that meant the world to me in music.
Okay.
And I don't know if people agree with me, but
What?
one was Tina Turner,
Okay.
and the other was Donna Summer.
Donna Summer's great. Donna Summer
Donna
was great,
Summer,
man.
I thought was.
You know, Gene Simmons was dating her at one point.
Was he really?
Yeah, that guy dated
She's a
everybody in the
beautiful woman.
70s.
She was a beautiful. Woman.
Yeah, Donna Summers was great, man.
Here's something happened to me today. So
Okay.
I got up to work a little late. And
Yeah.
for me, late is like 6 in the morning, and
That
it
is
seemed
late
like
for
the
you.
world was moving, right?
You're usually kicking
And
a
I
bird's
get
nest.
into Dunkin' Donuts, and the drive-through has 80 cars in it already, and I'm like, what the F? So I'm like, all right, I'll go inside because I need coffee, right? This lady gets in front of me,
Uh-oh.
and she's literally tasting every donut, every type of coffee. It was like a bad.
What do you mean
episode of a comedy
What do you mean
series.
tasting what is like Belushi in the cafeteria or an Animal House?
Can I try the
Putting it back?
flavored? No, she was asking for samples.
Oh my God!
Can I try
her.
the flavor of this?
I would have.
Can I try the flavor? Oh, can you pour me a little cup of your hazelnut?
And how many people are behind her?
Just me.
Oh, you were the very last one. You're the lucky one at the back of the line.
I know.
The drive-thru was insane,
and then me,
and inside was doable.
Okay, but it's
or
6 in
so
the morning.
you thought.
It's 6 in the morning.
Right.
Like, let me get through.
Okay.
And then I look at a car, and a license plate says Goofy. Right?
What'd you expect? She was trying to tip you off.
Dude, I don't think I ever wanted to grab someone and rip their face off as much as I did Goofy's.
It would have changed the license plate to Limpy.
You ain't kidding.
Yeah.
Did you ever go through that where people just don't even give a shit
they don't
about
care
anything that's going on behind them?
Whatsoever. Yeah, I've had that. I usually start to breathe really loudly.
You're closing your eyes. You get angry.
It gets me mad. I hate people like
Where's
that.
Where's the
Those
simple human
self-absorbed?
respect?
I'm the only one in the universe. I will lose my shit when I see that. Yeah.
We would like to thank the band that sings the theme song for Monte and Pharaoh, Jimmy Pharaoh, the star of the show, along with his partner Bart Griggs.
Man.
Make up the band Wisteria
That's
Hall.
him.
Such great songs as In My Dream, This Life, Not Far Behind, Here Comes the Rain. You can find their music on the Wisteria Hall YouTube page. Hit that like and subscribe. And if you're in the middle of doing that, go to Long Island's #1 pro wrestler broadcast, Monte and Pharaoh, and hit that like and subscribe on our YouTube page.
Yeah.
Go download Wisteria Hall's music on Spotify, Apple Music, or Reverb Nation. If you didn't know it, you are watching Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monte and Pharaoh. Catch us on the Monte and Pharaoh YouTube page and Monte and Pharaoh Facebook Live page. Hear us on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Anchor. Catch us on the Monte and Pharaoh Twitch TV page. Catch us on Channel 115 in New York every Tuesday at 9 p.m. and every Saturday at 11:30 a.m. And Channel 20 on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. where over 150,000 people watch us weekly, where you will see this icon, this Hall of Famer, this all-time great Ken Patera in our reduced version of this show.
It's abbreviated, but you're in the ballpark.
Where we take the bullet points of this interview,
Yeah.
and
remove all the shit that
we
we
move
get us
on.
suspended.
And here's yes,
Yeah.
you got to get past the suspension stuff,
Ah.
right? Oh, we got to talk to Ken about that he got us suspended.
Did he get us suspended?
Did he?
I don't think
Yeah,
he
he did.
Did?
I did.
Oh, he might have.
He did.
It was,
now
it was politics,
his first,
though.
his first interview.
So what?
His first interview's on the member portion because I can't put it public.
Well, that'll learn them.
That'll learn us.
Yeah.
Go to the Intuitive Network.
Spelled INTITIVE Network.
Where you could download this app for free. It's a Netflix alternative. It's a Hulu alternative. It's free. It's got movies, documentaries, TV shows. It's really great.
Yeah.
And most importantly, they've got Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast on there, right?
So, flagship, baby.
Guys, please go. It's free. Download the app. It costs you nothing. And if you're sitting at home, you got nothing to do, you put it on your TV and you watch a movie that you may not see anywhere else,
it's
right?
free.
There's a lot
A
of
magic
gold
word.
out there that people don't. In fact, I'm going to ask Mr. Patera to download it.
Okay.
What do you think? Do you think he'll do it?
How do I get this thing to work? I can hear him now.
We'll be back with this icon, Mr. Ken Patera.
The real Intercontinental Champion. See you in a sec.
Hey folks, this is Wolfie D here, and if you are looking to buy or sell a home in Tennessee or Southern Kentucky, you're going to want to call my buddy, the rock star realtor, Benji Bowie. And you say, Wolfie, how do I get in touch with this rock star? Well, you can call him directly at 615-390-8216. You can go to his website, BowieHomes.com. That's B-U-I-E Homes.com. Or you can email him at benbowie34@gmail.com. BENBUIE34@gmail.com. When you need a home, you need the Rockstar Realtor.
Tell him Wolfie sent you. Benji is a member of Exit Realty's Garden Gate team in Gallatin, Tennessee.
You need a body shop? You need engine repair? Auto Excellence, Collision Specialists, 631-261-6420. That's 631-261-6420. Auto Excellence. All right, welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monte the Pharaoh, where we have the iconic, the man, Ken Patera. Ken, how are you, sir?
Good. Thank you guys for having me on tonight. I didn't know what I was going to do on a Thursday night, and here we are.
Here we are.
And you know what? Who better to spend it?
Unbelievable.
It's great spending it with
Often
you, Ken.
imitated but never duplicated.
Well, speaking of that, Mr. Patera, last week we lost the iconic superstar Billy Graham. Can you share your thoughts on Billy and maybe your relationship with him, sir?
Yeah, well, I knew who Billy was way before I got into pro wrestling. He grew up in Paradise Valley, Arizona, and which was right next to Phoenix. And he used to train at a gym down there called Thorbeck's. And, all the muscle heads in town trained there. And I knew 3 or 4 of them because they were at Arizona State. Shot putters, discus throwers, guys that I had competed against. And they told me about Thorbeck's. They told me about superstar Billy Graham. And I've known Billy for a long time. Then I met him right after I started wrestling for Vern Gagne in the AWA in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I live 100 miles north of Minneapolis right now. But I met Billy, and he came in there and came into the AWA, got over like $1 million, yeah, which he did everywhere. Kind of like myself. So anyway, Billy was a good guy. I always liked him. He was a flamboyant character in the wrestling ring, but outside the ring, he was a normal person, just like the rest of us. But he was quite a showman. I really enjoyed his colorful way of doing things. And so about 6 months after he was here in the AWA, I was a rookie, along with Ric Flair and Jumpin' Jimmy Brunzell, Greg Gagne, the Iron Sheik, Khosrow Visseri. We all went through the same training camp with Vern Gagne. But Vern Gagne, he was the heavyweight champion of the AWA. Plus, he was a promoter. I mean, my God, how good, you can't get any better than that. So he came to me one day and asked me, he said, Ken, how would you like to do a weightlifting contest against superstar Billy Graham? I said, yeah, I'd love to. And do you think you can beat him? I started laughing. So what's so funny? I said, he's a bodybuilder. I said, I'm a weightlifter. I was in the Olympic Games. I was the first American to ever lift 500 pounds over my head in both the military press and the clean and jerk. I said, yeah, but I saw Billy do a bicep curl of 250 pounds at the gym. I says, yeah, that's not bad for a bodybuilder. So he thought I was putting Billy down, and I wasn't. I said, well, ask Billy. Ask Billy if I can beat him in a weightlifting contest. And he said, well, yeah, I will. So he asked Billy, I don't know, a day or two later, and Billy started laughing. He says, you think I can beat Ken Patera in a weightlifting contest? Are you nuts? And so anyway, we got together and we did a weightlifting contest in the middle of the ring in all the big arenas and even some medium-sized arenas in the AWA. Then we did the arm wrestling thing in all the big arenas. Hell, we must have had 20 to 30 sellouts all the way from Green Bay, Wisconsin to Denver, Colorado, and Phoenix and San Francisco, Winnipeg, Canada, all over the place. Yeah. So that was a hell of a program that we had there. Yeah.
Ken, how do you feel you would have done the 1980 or so Ken Patera with Wizard compared to Billy Graham's reign as a flashy villain? If they had given you the belt, which, by the way, I think they should have in those days, 1980 or so with the Wizard, how do you think you would have fared and compared to Graham's run if they had given you the belt as a villain back in like 1980 or so? How do you think you would have done?
Well, I'd sell out all the buildings in the territory.
I believe you would have.
I wrestled Bruno over 30 times between Madison Square Garden, Boston Garden, Igloo over in Pittsburgh, down in Philadelphia at the Spectrum, and we sold them all out. Baltimore, Washington, D.C., sold them all out. And so nothing would have been different. Hell, when I had the Intercontinental belt back in '81, I beat Pat Patterson in Madison Square Garden for that. And we went around the horn, sold out everywhere.
Yep.
I went around the horn with Bobby Backlund twice, sold out everywhere. So, I mean, I was selling out without the belt. And Billy was doing good. How long did they leave that belt on, Billy? Less than a year.
About 10 months.
About 8 to 10 months. I think it was 8 months, but
yeah.
It doesn't. Let me ask you this: that you brought that up, Ken. A lot of people always felt that, and I think Billy did too, that he was so over. They should have changed the plan and turned him face instead of giving the belt to Backlund. Since that's what Vince McMahon made his promise to. Do you think a face Billy Graham would have been more successful than a Bob Backlund?
Oh, yeah, he would have been as big as Bruno. I'm going to tell you guys a story. They were contemplating doing that, so they had me wrestle Billy up in Portland, Maine, of all places. We sold the place out, turned away about 2,000 people in Portland, Maine. And they wanted a promotion. They wanted to find out who was over as a heel, because we were both heels. Well, 2 minutes into the match, I was a heel. Superstar Billy Graham was a cold stone baby face. And so it was, so they, old man McGee thought that was interesting. I want to say, when was that? That had to be in the 70s, 78, 79, something like that. Billy didn't have, I don't think Billy had the belt anymore. I think Backlund had the belt.
Right. You are correct.
Do you remember when Backlund beat Billy for the belt?
February 20th, 1978. I do believe.
It was right after that then.
Yep.
Yeah, because they were trying to figure out if they had made a mistake or not.
Mm-hmm.
So Senior was second guessing himself, Kenny?
Huh?
Was Senior second guessing himself?
I think so.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think so. Because then he was thinking about putting the belt on me prior to Billy. Bruno Sammartino went to the old man and says, I want to drop the belt, and I want to drop it to Ken Patera.
Ooh.
Well, then the old man, here's an interesting bit of history. The old man tells Bruno, well, I've already promised a superstar, Billy Graham. He's down working for Eddie Graham in Florida, and he couldn't do any more with Billy, so he thought that if Billy came up to New York, they could put the belt on him. And so Bruno was still stuck on Ken Patera. He wanted to put the belt on me. And, at that time, it didn't matter one way or another to me. I was so over, I was selling out everywhere without the belt. And I was making the same money as those guys, And one thing leads to another, there's all the bullshit. So Billy got the belt, and then he drops it to Backlund. And the reason they dropped it to Backlund, the old man felt that he couldn't trust Billy with the belt. Because several years prior to that, Ivan Koloff had held him up for money. And Superstar held him up for money too, prior to having the belt. And now, when Billy got the belt, I don't know if he held him up for money or what transpired there, but he had already promised Bobby Backlund that he was going to put the belt on him after Superstar had his run. So where in the fuck does that leave Ken Patera? I said, and so the old man came to me and he explained to me, he says, Ken, you are so over, you don't need a belt to sell out. These other guys, they needed a little help. And I said, well, and I knew what the gates were, everybody knew what the gates were, so it wasn't any bullshit like that. So that's how it went down. And then I left. When the hell did I leave? I left in 78, end of 78, something like that. I just got fed up with all the fucking games. And I went back to Mid-Atlantic territory, Charlotte. And my family, I just bought a big house down there a couple years prior to that. And so I wanted to go back there and wrestle and be with my family. So that's how I wound up leaving there. And then, so I was there for about a year and a half. And then come New Year's Day, 1980, I went back to the WWF. And was that 1980 or 1981?
It's 80. It sounds about right to me. And then they put you with Wizard, and then you won the Intercontinental belt. It all sounds about right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So what? What does a couple years mean? So anyway, everything worked out good.
You had a great run as Intercontinental Champion. That was some great days. That really was. You were great.
Could you speak a little louder?
I'm just saying, you had such a great run as the Intercontinental Champion. That was some great days. It really was.
Yeah, I did have. I had a hell of a run. I was the only wrestler in history to ever hold that Intercontinental belt and the Missouri State belt at the same time.
Yep.
Two very prestigious belts. And I love St. Louis, and they put that Missouri State Championship belt on me twice, two different times. And so anyway, that was a good time in my career. I was making top dollar and enjoying myself. Had the pick of the arena rats and everything else. So everything fell into place.
Did you ever fall in love with any of the arena rats?
You're not supposed to. They're rats. Ken,
no,
straighten
they're
them
rats.
Out. Straighten them out, Ken.
They're rats.
Exactly.
They're rats.
Exactly.
Hey, Ken, we lost.
I wound up. My last wife was my third wife, And she wasn't an arena rat, though, but I met her while I was wrestling.
Okay.
And I wound up marrying her, had two beautiful daughters. And then she decided to fly the coop and fucking miserable bitch.
That's what you get for staying with a ring rat. I mean, no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Or am I? Oy.
I wish she had been an arena rat, then I would have never married her.
There you go.
Yeah, some of those girls had as many dicks stick in them as
Ooh.
a porcupine has quills sticking out of them.
Uh-oh. Hello.
Man, that's a prickly situation.
Kenny,
Yes, it was.
we lost also women's wrestler Peggy Lee. Did you know Peggy Lee at all?
Was she a Southern gal?
Yeah, she once held the NWA World's Women's Championship. So I figured maybe you might have run across her at some point.
No.
She was only 64, Mike.
Yeah.
No, I'm trying to remember her.
I don't know.
What time period are we even talking here?
She's 64.
So we're making 30 years ago,
It's
maybe?
like the 80s, right?
Oh, okay.
All right, well,
Yeah, no.
anyway, we wanted to, just recognize that we passed her. So, Ken, one thing want to talk about, you have a new book that's out. Ken Patera, The Weight of the World. Can you tell us a little bit about your book?
Look at that cover.
The Weight of the World.
Look at that cover.
Nearly 500 pages of just the knowledge that people will derive from reading this book is phenomenal. They'll be brainier, they'll have a better life, and they'll even make more money if they buy and read this book.
Their grammar will be improved.
Well, let me ask you this. Pharaoh only likes books with lots of pictures. Is there a lot of pictures in there for him?
And crayon?
Yes, there is.
There is?
Well, I wrote 4 or 5 chapters in crayon.
Awesome.
And
That's
those are
good.
That's awesome. Holy Crayola.
Yeah, and
Very good.
those are the chapters that have the most pictures in them.
So
I
it's a
think
bit
I
of an
have about
activity
50
book, too? Can I,
pictures in
like,
the book.
finger paint?
So, Ken, where can the fans get your book?
Well, they can order from me, kenpatera.com.
Very nice.
And my daughter does all the mailing. My daughter has 2 other businesses. So she just puts everything together, ships everything out, and they'll get it in a timely manner. And all they have to do is go to kenpatera.com and order it. I'll autograph it
Wow.
for
Wow.
them, personally autograph it.
That's great.
Because I do it in my daughter's workshop here at the house. And if they want to get it autographed somewhere, they'll have to go to a convention or something,
Yeah.
and to see if I'm there. I did a convention in St. Louis 2 weeks ago, and boy, we had a hell of a turnout there. I think we had a couple thousand people, and they brought in a lot of the guys that had been inducted into the St. Louis Hall of Fame over the years. They inducted me into the St. Louis Hall of Fame about 8 years ago. They flew me down and had a nice time. And then this past, about a week ago, they flew me down again. And God, they had everybody down there. They had the Barbarian down there. They had Jerry Briscoe, JBL, Ted DiBiase, Bobby Orton, and well, I can't. There was about 30 guys. There was a ton of guys. And the fans really enjoyed themselves. I sold a ton of books down there, too. They had tables all set up for everybody to sell their pictures. And if those of us that had books, we could sell those. I lost track of how many books I sold. I sold I took down a big box of them. I sold them all.
Well, I'm going to sell you. Tell you what,
No,
you're going to sell. You're going to sell one
I
more
take that
because
back.
once I get out of this interview, I'm ordering one.
Do what?
Once I get out of this interview, I'm ordering one. So you're going to sell one more.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Yeah. And Pharaoh, are you going to buy one?
Can I get a
Cheap
signed
brick?
box of crayons?
Well, what color crayon do you want me to sign it in?
Periwinkle blue.
I'll, Ken, when I pay for it, I'll ask for Pharaoh's to be signed in periwinkle blue crayon.
This is amazing.
Yeah.
I tell you. Ugh.
Ken, one important thing
I
I
love
think
it.
that's really important, because we're older, and you're also an American icon. You're an Olympic weightlifter,
Yes.
right? That's
Yes.
to me, that's as important as being in the military, right? Because you're representing this wonderful country, and you're trying to win us medals and show that we're the greatest country on this planet. So we give you such tremendous kudos beyond your wrestling career to talk about what a great Olympic star you were. But one thing that seems to be forgotten, you were in the 1972 Munich Olympics, where the younger generation doesn't realize where the Israelis Olympic athletes were kidnapped and eventually murdered. How did that affect you personally as an Olympic hero like yourself?
Well, I don't wear my feelings on my sleeve. I was over there to do a job, and I felt bad for those guys. People say, "Did you see any of it?" I said, "Yes." Right from my balcony, my let's say hotel room in the Olympic Village, I could look out of my window across the courtyard. Courtyard was probably 200 feet across, and the compound for the Jews were right there. And I could look right, I saw the whole thing live and in person.
Mm.
And so I knew exactly what was going on. And it was on TV at the same time. I'll tell you a funny story. Jimmy Brunzell calls me, says, "Kenny, have you seen the movie Munich yet?" I said, "No, why?" He said, "Well, it's about the terrorists killing all the Jews in the Olympic Village." I said, "Jimmy, I was there. I saw it live and in person. Why would I want to go see some stupid movie about it?" And he says, "Well, I guess you're right." I said, "Yeah, I'm right." And he, to this day, he swears that was one of the best movies he ever saw.
Mm-hmm.
I said, "Jimmy, put it in perspective. It was a documentary. It wasn't a movie.
Right.
It was a documentary." "Well, you're right. But boy, that was fascinating. I didn't realize what you went through when you were over there in the Olympics." I said, "Yeah, that was part of the deal."
Were
We
other
didn't subscribe to it.
Ken, I'm sorry. Were other athletes worried for their safety, or did they realize this is more of a targeting of a certain background, or were you worried about your own safety by any chance, or no?
No,
Okay, just checking.
no,
Anybody
because
else felt-
I had total trust in the German police,
Okay.
and they had shut the whole place down. Now here we had like between 5,000 and 6,000 athletes in the Olympic Village. If you can, grasp that.
Mm.
I mean, every 50 feet there was a German police officer or a German military, and they all had automatic weapons, brother. I mean, they were loaded to the gills. So I didn't have any fear of terrorists getting to any of the athletes, including myself. And so, they were all nutcases, those Arabs at the time. Well, that was their ideology. Kill the Jews. Kill
Right.
all the Jews. Fuck
Right.
them.
Yeah.
You know, that was their attitude back then.
Yep.
Yasser Arafat, that little fucking midget camel jockey, he was head of the PLA, Palestinian Liberation
Correct.
Army.
Yep.
That's what they called themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So
on a lighter note, Ken, Pharaoh does a great imitation of you.
Oh,
so
stop it.
I'm going to
What
let
are
him do
you
an
doing?
imitation of you, and I want you to grade it and tell me
Oh,
what you
come
think
on.
if Pharaoh is doing a good job.
You know what, Ken? He's just setting me up to look like a wiener. Would you stop it? The problem is that the last time you were on, Ken, and I always bring this up when we're not on the air. So now the pressure's on, and I'm going to have to do a good. I'm not going to be able to because it's organic, this imitation, you pain in the ass. Anyway, when you were on last time, he point blank said to you, do you think Vern Gagne could have kicked your ass? Okay? And you're like, well, are you serious? You want me to come over there? And I was just like, I always bring it up to him. I'll walk up to him and go, are you serious? So there it is. There's my imitation. Please don't grade it. Oy, good Lord. What do you think? Do I pass or do I fail? Go ahead, grade it. Ugh.
Was that a good imitation,
It's
Ken?
a silly imitation, but it's the best form of flattery is
not
imitation.
bad.
It wasn't
bad.
bad.
He got the words right.
Yeah. I got the words
Yeah.
right. That's great, Ken. Thanks a lot.
Well, then again, but before I have to ask you, can Vern Gagne kick your ass?
Stop it! Oh, my God. You know, he's going to
Well,
come through the set. Go ahead, Ken.
I thought Mike and I were friends, but I think I'm gonna have to fuck him up next time.
No, you are
Yes!
my friend.
There we go!
You are my friend. I know you can kick Vern Gagne and Greg
Oh,
Gagne's
look
ass.
at you.
I love you, Ken.
Little relish on your hot dog there, Ken? Oh, my God. Talk about buttering up.
Yeah, Greg Gagne was in St. Louis last week when I was down there.
Playing tennis?
He's skinnier than heck. I don't think he weighs 170 pounds.
I don't think he did back then.
You know, Ken, let me ask you, can Greg Gagne get nasty? He seems like he could become a real nasty guy.
He does. He does. Is he a badass, secretly? Not compared to you.
Well, no, Greg's a good guy.
Okay.
You know, I traveled all over Europe with Greg after the Olympic Games. We went on a 2-week hiatus through Austria and Czechoslovakia and stuff. We had a nice time. We got a couple dollies over there in Vienna and, traded them back and forth. And so, yeah, Greg is a good guy. You know, I never had any problem with Greg.
I remember the last time you were in the studio, the only time I think he was in the studio. He was in the studio one time. You know, I still think about this, and yes, I'm going to do this in your voice. China ruined the Intercontinental title. Is this true? Do you still really feel this way about this, that when you saw China with the Intercontinental title, you were like, fuck this title?
Yeah. Yeah, that was the beginning and the end for the WWF as far as I was concerned. Yeah, she could probably legitimately beat everybody in the WWF at that time.
Probably.
And so maybe that's why McMahon put the belt on her. I don't know. No, it was a farce. It was a joke, you know. See, he was woke before you had to be woke. And
Vince. Vince, of all
Yeah,
people, was woke before.
yeah,
Wow. That's interesting.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So, Ken, Ric Flair came out with a documentary on Peacock. It was called Being Ric Flair. Wonderful documentary, but he tells a story on how he actually becomes a professional wrestler is because of the great Ken Patera. Can you tell that story from your end?
Well, yeah. When I moved back to Minnesota from Portland, Oregon, I walked in this bar called George's in the Park, and there was a kid sitting at a table just inside the door. Turned out to be the bouncer, or the back in those days, this was a pretty classy place. We called them doormen. You know, we didn't call them bouncers. And so I asked the doorman, I said, where's your cigarette machine? He said, right over there. So I went over and put 50 cents in the machine, pulled the plunger, out pops my Salem lights.
What? Ah, Salem Lights.
As I stood up, there's the doorman was standing right next to me. And I looked at him. I said, yeah. He says, are you Ken Patera? I said, yeah. He said, I knew it. I saw you on the Wild World of Sports a couple of weeks ago. And I said, oh, yeah, the World Championships in weightlifting. He said, yeah. And he said, what the hell are you doing in here? I said, well, there's an old saying. Everybody's got to be somewhere at some time. Here I am. And anyway, so I went, I said, I see there's a bar in the back here. I said, I don't want to go to the nightclub up front. They had a big nightclub up front, dinner theater and everything. And I just wanted to get a couple beers. So he said, yeah, go back to the Red Dog Saloon. And it was a working man's bar. So that's where all the guys come in the back after work. You know, they have mud and shit on their boots, and their Levi's are torn, their shirts are torn. And anyway, I went back there, ordered a couple beers. Next thing, you know, this was getting late by that time. So next thing I know, here comes this blonde-haired kid again. And I look up from the table. He said, Mr. Patera, you mind if I sit down and have a beer with you? I said, no, go ahead. And that was Ric Flair. That's when I found out his name. And I said, yeah. I said, how long have you worked here? He said, about a year. I said, do you like it? He says, yeah, it's a great place to work. And so anyway, we got to know each other. You know, we got drunk in the Red Dog Saloon.
Nice.
And so I told him that I was staying with my brother, Jack. Jack was defensive line coach for the Minnesota Vikings at the time. And that I come back to train for the Olympic Games. This is like 1969 or 1970. 1970, I believe it was. And so Rick and I, he gave me his phone number. I gave him my brother's phone number. We wound up getting together and going down to a couple gyms. Him being from Minnesota, he knew where all the gyms were. But they were all bodybuilding gyms and, health spas and stuff. I said, Rick, I need a real gym, where I can lift big weights. And he says, well, there's none of those, but there's a guy that lives over in North Minneapolis. His name is Mel Hennessy. At that time, Mel Hennessy had the world record in the bench press in the 242-pound class. And so we went over there. I started talking to Mel. And he says, yeah, you can train here. His gym was a converted double-car garage. He had it insulated with cardboard. And because if anybody's been in Minnesota during the winter, they'll realize that it gets cold. And he had a heater in there. He cranked up. That thing would be 80 degrees in that two-car garage. But it was plenty big enough for powerlifting and Olympic lifting. And so, yeah, it was a good place to train. Yeah, beautiful. And then Rick would come over, and he had a membership at a sports and health club. And he went over there. I used to go over there with him once in a while, jump in the steam room and the whirlpool and stuff.
Mm.
That's a good looking guy.
Yeah.
I think that patch says USA has the Olympic emblem, the rings underneath.
Love it.
Yeah.
Do you still have a
Yeah, I
relationship
got a
with
lot
Rick?
of those when I was in the.
Ken, do you
Go
still
ahead.
talk to Ric Flair?
Yeah, I just talked to him about a week ago.
Can I ask you a question? Can I ask you one question?
He wrote the foreword to my book.
And I
Wrote
want
the
to get
forward.
back. I want to get back to your
Very
book
nice.
right after this question.
Very nice.
When he lost his son Reed, did you reach out to him?
I tried to. I couldn't get through to him.
Really? Mm.
Yeah, I could. Sometimes I called. Sometimes it takes me a couple of weeks to get a hold of him.
Mm.
And he likes to text. I don't text, and so it's hard to get any line of communication going. But yeah, I do talk to Rick, and he'll call me or I'll call him. Yeah. So the last time he called me from a gym down in Tampa, Florida. And he was training with a bunch of young guys in their 20s. They didn't believe that he knew me. And so he says, "Oh, you want proof? I'll call it." So he calls me. He says, "Kenny, I'm in a gym down here in Tampa. These guys don't believe that I know you." I said, "Well, I'll put the little pricks on. I'll straighten them out." So he put the ringleader on, and I talked to him for a couple minutes. I said, "Yeah, you're talking to the real Ken Patera?" And I said, "You better be treating that old man Ric Flair right. Otherwise, I'm going to come down there and slap the swinging full Nelson on all of you." So, yeah, it was a great conversation that we had. So, yeah.
Ken, one more time, please show the fans your book, where they can get it. Very excited about this book.
There you go.
Guys,
Ken
you can
Patera,
go to
Weight of the World.
Weight of the World. You can go to the Ken Patera website, and you could go on to Amazon and order this book. And Ken, like you said, if you order it from the Ken Patera website, you can personally sign it if someone requests that, correct?
Yeah, kenpatera.com. That's all they have to punch in, kenpatera.com, and I'll take care of them, and they can find out the prices there. And I accept PayPal, and so everything's above board. My daughter has a couple businesses. She has a pottery business and a CBD oil business, and she was a chemist in school, so she knows how to make all that CBD products, the pain balms, and she has a hell of a business.
Have you
Both in
used
pottery
those,
and
Ken? You use
yeah,
CBD?
all the pottery pieces are, she makes them, and yeah, she's a go getter, but she does all the shipping. Yeah.
Ken, have
she
you
has a
tried
big
CBD
account on
products?
Amazon.
The CBD products, Ken, have you tried them? The CBD products? Have you tried CBD products?
I tried them all.
You have.
They're fantastic.
Nice.
That pain balm that she has is fantastic.
Cool.
Not that I have any pain.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, her products are legit. Yeah.
Ken, what can
Yeah,
you tell
she-
us about Crusher Blackwell? Obviously, you held the AWA tag titles with Crusher Blackwell back in the day. It feels like he doesn't get talked about much nowadays. Can you tell us some memories of him?
Yeah, well, Jerry was a country boy. Grew up in Cummins, Georgia. I think he was born over by Stone Mountain, Georgia. I'll tell you one fascinating thing about Jerry. He was a real bright guy, brilliant, as a matter of fact. He couldn't read or write.
Mm.
Can you believe that? He never learned how to read or write.
Wow.
No,
You know, he went to school for just a couple of years, and you know, the family fell on hard times down there in Georgia, and he wound up working his whole life, you know, to help support the family. But yeah, he was a hell of a performer, and yeah, I loved working with Jerry. He had a good mind for the wrestling business, and I appreciated that. He came up with some fantastic angles for us against Hulk Hogan and Tito. What's Tito's last
who,
name?
Santana?
Yeah,
That guy.
yeah, Hulk Hogan, Tito Santana, Hulk
Nice.
Hogan, and Ricky Martel,
Sure.
the High Flyers, Jumping Jimmy Brunzell and Greg Gagne.
Good
We
stuff.
wound up beating them for the tag team titles. And yeah, so a lot of the finishes Jerry came up with. And we sold out everywhere. I mean, all the way from Green Bay to Denver, from Minneapolis down to Omaha, Nebraska, to Milwaukee, Chicago, uh, Minneapolis, St. Paul. Yeah, we're a hot item here. And then when Hulk Hogan was here in the AWA, I was this is before Jerry and I teamed up as tag team partners, and I wrestled Hogan. I think I wrestled him 20 times a month for like 3 months, and we were making fantastic money at the time.
That's a
And
killer matchup. That is great matchup.
complete sellout.
Oh yeah.
It didn't matter if it was a big town or a medium-sized city. We were selling out everywhere.
Ken, there's been a lot of stories about Rick Rude and Rick Rude's untimely demise. Uh, what did you hear at the time that Rick Rude passed away? Is there anything you could shed any light on? There's so many different ideas on what took Rick Rude. What do you think?
Well, I really don't. I've heard rumors and stuff, but nothing definitive. I was with Rick in Maryland about 6 months before he passed away. We were doing a spot show down there. Or no, it was about a year before. And then next thing I know, Rick is in what, WCW or what
Yeah,
working
he
for
jumped.
Turner.
He had jumped to WCW.
Yeah, he jumped over to Turner.
Right.
And next thing I know is his wife found him dead on the floor. And I know he was, when we shared that room there for that show in Maryland, he was smoking pot, snorting cocaine, popping pills, yeah, doing all the stuff that pro wrestlers do.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
but I think that was rampant right through all the professional sports: basketball, baseball, football, hockey, and you know,
Even
professional
hockey?
wrestling.
Even hockey? Really? Wayne Gretzky
Yeah,
doing eight
hockey.
balls?
No, hell yeah, they sit on that bench.
And chopping some ice. Very good. Okay.
Hey Ken,
Yeah,
Jason,
chopping ice,
fan
chopping
Jason,
cocaine.
Ken, fan Jason Morning's asking out there, did you know bodybuilder Bill Pearl from Portland?
Yes, I did. Bill Pearl wasn't from Portland. He lived in just outside of Klamath Falls, Oregon. He had a horse farm down there. I can't remember where Bill was actually from, but he wound up buying a a farm down there in Southern Oregon. And you know who else bought a farm down there for horses?
No.
Steve Reeves. You remember Steve Reeves? Mr. Universe,
Yes,
Mr. America
yes,
back in the
yes.
40s?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was just before Bill Pearl. And I knew them both. And Bill was a real intellectual type of guy. He'd go out and shovel horse shit. He give them hay in the front, run around to the back with a shovel and shovel their shit. But Steve Reeves and Bill Pearl had horse farms down Southern Oregon.
Did Steve Reeves play Hercules? Was he one of the guys who played Hercules, or am I getting him confused with somebody else?
Yeah.
He did play Hercules.
Yeah,
there we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Steve Reeves.
Sure.
Yeah, he was him and Reggie Parks from South Africa. But Steve really made a name by playing Hercules. He made a lot of money.
Yeah.
And he made several Western movies too. But he was best known for the Hercules role. And
bodybuilder, Western cowboy in the 1800s. Yeah, that sounds weird. That sounds a little strange.
Well, Ken, we're almost out of time. I want to thank you again for treating us so well. I consider you a friend. You're an icon. You're an Olympic hero. You're an American hero. I would remind the fans out there, the Ken Patera book is available on Amazon or the Ken Patera webpage, and you could order the Ken Patera book and ask for it to be signed. Ken Patera, Weight of the World. This
the way they're going to get it signed is if they order it from me, kenpatera.com.
Right.
You got
it.
And
then I'll sign it for them. Yeah.
That sounds great.
There you go.
I mean, like I said, I'm going to order mine. We've already got fans saying they're going to order theirs. It's a perfect time to get it. It's summertime. Ken Patera's got such wonderful stories. Not only was he one of the all-time great professional wrestlers, he was an Olympic hero. He's an American hero. And I can tell you on a personal basis, he's a hell of a great guy. I am a huge fan of Ken Patera's, and I'm fortunate enough to call him a friend. Ken, one last question from me. I read somewhere where you said you don't want to be in the WWE Hall of Fame. Really?
There's no building.
They don't have a building. I'm in the St. Louis Wrestling Hall of Fame. I'm in the United States Weightlifting Hall of Fame. I'm even in the Cleveland High School Hall of Fame, the high school I graduated from. I mean, if McMahon, that Hall of Fame is bogus because it's Vince McMahon is the one that put it all together. So if you're on good graces with Vince McMahon, you'll automatically be in the Hall of Fame. For somewhere along the line, I called him a motherfucker too many times.
Go figure.
I think that's why I'm not in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, it's logical.
You can. I couldn't imagine you calling anyone a motherfucker. That's a shock.
No, not you. Yeah. Come on.
Well, you know.
Come on.
Well, one of my weaknesses.
We're going to hit you with something called the Pharaoh's Final Question. This is where Jimmy Pharaoh comes with an unscripted question.
Oh,
it could be about anything. It could be about your favorite band, your favorite tag team partner, or what underwear you wear.
Why would the fuck would I ask him that?
I don't know, but go ahead.
Fucking crazy. All right. Well, let me set the template here first, and you're going to love my question, Mike. You're going to love it.
Go ahead.
I consider Mr. Patera part of football royalty. Football royalty, after all. His brother worked with the Vikings as the coordinator. Wasn't he the head coach of the Seattle Seahawks, if I'm not mistaken here? Wasn't he like the first one? Anyway.
Yeah.
Mr. Patera, as a football fan, your personal rooting interests aside, now that the New York Jets have Aaron Rodgers, do we have a shot at finally, because I was 1.5 years old in 1969, do we finally have a shot at making the, I'm not going to say it, but you know what game I'm talking about because I don't want to jinx us. What do you think? Do they have a shot with Aaron Rodgers?
I think they'd have a better shot if they brought Joe Namath back.
You're mean. You're mean. You're mean. He's mean. You are so mean. Are you serious? We're still going to be waiting? Dude, you can't say that.
Thank
That's
you.
mean. I did ask him, though. He gave me an answer.
You know what?
He gave me an answer.
Question.
He did.
Ken,
Oh, man.
I had time
sucks.
to disagree. And I'm a huge Jet fan, but yeah, I got to agree. Ken, thank you again. I can't
That's
wait
rough.
to get your book. Everybody loves you. Thank you so much
you.
what you've done for the wrestling industry and this country in itself. Thank you, Ken Patera.
Thank you, guys. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Ken. Thank you.
We'll see you
You
along the
bet.
way.
Okay, absolutely. Bye-bye.
Bye. Well,
He's in the top 5 favorite people we've ever had.
Oh,
I'm
absolutely.
sorry. He's in the top 5. He just goes right in.
3 times.
He goes into the Monte and the
So,
Pharaoh Hall
3
of Fame.
times
Where's
in-
our building?
In studio,
Yeah.
on
he's great.
phone.
He's great.
and now over the internet.
Oh, he's great. Can we have him down here again, though? Like in person?
I would love to.
He's great.
I consider Ken a friend. Good
well,
guy.
He's going to get you for those Gagne comments, but that's okay.
Well, come on. I
He's
mean,
not? He should.
The one thing
Well,
I always
maybe not.
appreciate about Ken Patera is his blatant honesty. Yeah, he doesn't sugarcoat it, right?
I love what he called Arafat.
Well, you know what I mean.
Fantastic.
That
was great.
He really is a special human being.
Yeah, he is.
You mentioned to me before, like, I wish you would have watched wrestling when I do too.
You
Now.
just missed it too because you and I got into the wrestling. Well, I got you into the wrestling right after he had said "fuck this" and left again.
Right.
You missed such a great heel. He oozed of it factor. He had the heel charisma. What a perfect bad guy he was, and he had the build you love, and he had that flair. He did. He had flair, man. He was just great.
The one thing I will say
great.
about him
Oh my
during
God.
the territory thing, and by the way, guys, you got that whole Dark Side of the Ring starting next week, where
Okay.
you have Adrian Adonis,
Wow.
where his daughter Angie reached out to us again. I'm going to keep reiterating.
Well, that's
that
the truth.
She said, "Hey, thank you to Monte and
Very
Pharaoh
cool.
because it's that show that made them attracted
Right, made them
to it. There's
curious
been other
about
shows
Adrian.
too,
Sure,
but
that's great.
I go back to the territories where, and again, respectfully, I won't bring up the McDonald's thing because the
He's
people.
talked about it a minute.
Yeah, but it's not even that, dude. The
Right.
guy lost a couple of years of his life.
Yeah.
He went to jail for a
It
couple
was-
of years.
And total bullshit too. But let's not get into
Right,
this.
but
bullshit.
But there was a point
Oh,
where
Jesus.
Gagne, in that they were discussing it, and Gagne was calling him a liar. And we asked him about it the last interview,
Right.
which would have been great to see his face.
Yeah.
He wanted to rip
Yeah.
Gagne's and Brunzell's face off. Like, I was like, holy shit,
Yeah,
he's going to
he's
fucking
pretty-
lose
he's
his
pretty- he's
shit
pretty
on
mad.
them.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do
I
you
wouldn't want to get
feel-
him mad.
Do you
Really.
feel that the penalty was worth the crime?
That was a ridiculous penalty.
Well, there was rumors that they actually
I-
beat up the police officers.
Oh, really?
yeah.
Rumors or facts? What are
Well,
we talking
okay, so
about here? I
let's-
want to talk about
So
facts.
let's call it. I wasn't there.
I wasn't
so if you
there
hear the
either.
stories, it's factual. They beat up the cops. Why they beat up the cops,
Perhaps
I
they were.
don't know.
Perhaps they were defending themselves from overly aggressive arresting.
Could be the case.
I don't know.
Could be the case.
Yeah, I don't know.
But do you think the penalty?
No. No. To lose that much time and have that much it affect your career and everything? No.
It's
And,
got,
and on top of it,
right.
can we just get back to the basics? There are two guys. You just closed the doors. There are two guys out there the size of parked cars. They're hungry. And I don't think they were being like, open the door, mofo. I would have been like, give them the fucking...
Well, all right, hold on.
Feed them and...
Wait, let's
You
let's
can't
defend
just
this.
serve two more people?
You work.
Yeah.
Right. You're ready to go home.
Oh, I cannot tell you how many times I opened the door in a comic book store to let somebody in because, and even in 5,
Okay.
10 minutes, I cannot
There
tell
you go. So
how
that's,
many times.
that's the answer.
Because it's the right thing to do. I mean,
Right.
well, you got it. Look, I'm not off to a funeral or a wedding.
Right.
I mean, what the hell's going on here? Give the guys their food. They're starving. I don't know. I personally would have been
John
like, yeah,
Gallagher
sure, stand
says
by.
he
Here comes your
he
hamburger.
beat up Pop's hard to say. It should have been less than 2 years.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I'm sorry.
And that's really the important part of it. The man lost 2 years
Yes,
of
he
his
did.
life, right?
Yes, he did. Nah, I'm sorry. There was nobody killed, maimed, or crippled there. What the hell's going on here? 2 years? Jesus.
He said +1, I think, was a lady cop.
Again, I don't know what sort of tactics were used on these guys as they were being apprehended and arrested.
And that's why, like, you know, when
I don't
people
know.
interview Patera,
I don't know.
that seems to be the go-to question, and I never understood it. The 3 times we have him in,
Why
we
would
never
we
even
bother?
brought it up, right?
Yeah, why bother? It's already been. It was a little different when Tony was an eyewitness to what happened with Bruiser.
Right.
You know what I mean? For
Right.
God's sakes, way different. But
Right.
that would be, to me, to Ken, it's probably an irritant at this point. What the fuck you asking me
Well,
about?
no, it's more than irritant, right? It's like, hey, I lost away from my family,
Absolutely.
away
I mean,
from
to
my
be
kids.
asked it over and
You're
over
in a
again.
fucking
That's
cell.
gotta be.
It's a big deal.
Yeah, yeah.
And, you know, look,
He should have
I'm not
just
gonna
bent
say
the
I
bars
know-
and
I'm not going
walked
to say
out.
I know him on
Probably
such a
coulda.
personal level, but I've spoken to him so many times.
Yeah.
Seems like a great gentleman to me.
He's cool. He's very cool. He's very straight and up front. And if you don't like it, change the channel. I'm
Well,
sure he would tell
again,
you
I'm
to,
going to
too.
remind everybody, Ken Patera, The Weight of the World. I'm ordering mine.
I actually want to get this book.
Yeah, I'm
gonna
very
have to
excited
save up
for
and
it.
stuff.
There's a couple books I love. I love
Right.
Brunzell's book, Matlands.
That's great.
Which we have on our
Yeah,
desk
I got
here.
a copy too. That's good.
There's actually a
What
non-wrestler written book, but there's
Right.
Gorp the Grappler, which we haven't really promoted, but it's kind
Listen,
of a fun
not
book.
for nothing, though. The greatest book, and I'm sure I may change my mind after I read Ken's, but
Right.
Bob Backlund's book
Bob Backlund's
is the
book is
greatest
incredible.
book I have ever read regarding wrestling.
Hard
That's
to-
just
hard
my
to argue.
opinion. I mean, I
Hard
could
to
not
argue.
put that thing down.
Guys, we want to thank you for joining us. Next Thursday, we've got D'Lo Brown. It's going to be very interesting.
Tried.
It's going to be very interesting because, as we know,
like D'Lo.
I was there at the Coliseum.
You
when
were there
D'Lo
with Draws.
Brown
Yeah, I know.
broke Draws'
I
neck.
know you were
And
there.
you know
I
that question
know.
was going to be asked.
I know.
Right?
I know.
I
know.
And, you know,
So sad.
but,
that happened.
you know, again, we're
Yeah.
honored that you all join us every Thursday. We love you guys. We'll see you next Thursday where we have D'Lo Brown. And then the following week, we've got the return of Johnny Photo. For those who don't know who Johnny Photo
Johnny
is,
Photo.
Johnny Photo was in studio. He was a WWE photographer.
For almost 20 years.
For almost 20 years.
Right. Yep.
Johnny Photo had escaped many layoffs from the WWE.
Yes. Yeah.
Johnny Photo on the last round, which there's probably another round coming this year, as it always does after WrestleMania, was released.
Right. Then I ran into him at Iron Maiden.
You did. Johnny certainly
Little Johnny.
was destroyed over being released
I can't even imagine.
and angry because his release really wasn't so copacetic.
Really?
So Johnny had a very
Really now?
beautiful severance package
Okay.
and was not able to speak for literally 2 years.
Wow.
Johnny Photo will be in studio, and the stories you guys are going to hear, you're not going to want to miss it.
Ah.
I'm going to tell you, hit that like and subscribe, hit that membership, hit that alert button, because you do not want to miss what Johnny Photo is going to tell you. So you've got Ken Patera, which you just watched.
Yep.
You've got D'Lo Brown next week.
Nice.
And again, with us, you don't get those basic questions. So you're going to hear shit out of D'Lo that you never probably heard before.
Right.
And then you finish it off
With a true insider
Johnny Photo.
that saw things that most Marks can only dream about.
Right.
That was just a regular day at the office for
And
John.
let's not forget, Johnny Photo lived through the
Yeah.
Eddie Guerrero passing.
Yes.
The Chris Benoit
Yes.
murders.
The Attitude Era.
The Attitude Era.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yep.
And all the inside
The rise of
dirt.
John Cena. He
I
saw
love
everything.
you guys all. This is Mike Monte.
This is the Pharaoh. And until then, later.